flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes is Africans in Diaspora and Back Home leading English news network, one of the most respected and trusted sources for news updates on current affairs as it affects global Africa. In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes is Africans in Diaspora and Back Home leading English news network, one of the most respected and trusted sources for news updates on current affairs as it affects global Africa.
One of the most current, verified news platform as it affects global Africa. You are welcome to another day that will affect us as a people when we get updated with our news headlines. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajua, and I'm here in Milan, Italy. Joining me in different parts of the world are my colleagues, my friends. In faraway Lagos, Nigeria is Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. Ogbeni Olayinka Raji, you're welcome to News Echoes Friday World Affairs.
Good morning, Massive Mark. Good morning, viewers around the world. I'm glad to be here today again.
Yes, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. And also good to see our big brother, Sir George Chukwu, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Sir George, you're welcome.
Good morning, Mark Godwin, and good morning, Olayinka Raji, and good morning, viewers from around the world. Welcome to our show today. It's going to be a fantastic one.
It's going to be a fantastic one. And we have these crystals behind us, you know, crystals of good energy, good spirit, because we are nation builders. We're thinking good for our people. We want the best for humanity, the best for our people too. Sir George, you're welcome. Let's begin. Today is our world affairs, and what we do is give the world affairs updates. Let me just begin with what happened not too far away from us here. During the week on Monday, here in France, Paris, France, there was a big event going on. And that big event was the presence of the man you see there. That's the president of China. China's ex was in France on Monday. He arrived for a very crucial meeting. He met with the French President Emmanuel Macron and also European Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen. So what China is doing is being very, very smart, very, very witty. China is seeking to mend all broken relationships. Take note that China has gone through a lot of tough criticisms, a lot of times with different countries. But it's time, they say, they want to cement those relationships for the good of China and also for the good of Europeans. So Eugene X was in France, and now he's in Serbia. He will be in Hungary, and he's making this trip to close the ties with Europeans. Gentlemen, let me start with Raji. Raji, were you on that alert on Monday, Tuesday? China X in France, going around Europe.
I've always admired Chinese diplomacy. China will not go to war with any country because China needs peace for progress. In all the years that China has been free, China has not gone to war with any country. They may do some saber rattling, but they never go to war and waste resources, because the moment you deploy to war, you are going to waste resources. China is always trying to make peace with even their enemies around them, so that there'll be progress for everybody. Between China and India, you know, there used to be a lot of friction between China and India, but now there's a cooperation and collaboration. They are both in BRICS. So it's coming to France. It's actually trying to tell France that France, you see, you are essentially a third world country. Stop all this bravado. You are not that strong. You are just wallowing in self-importance. Farabale, keep quiet. and keep calm. Let us show how to be great. I really admire Chinese diplomacy. They will not go to war with you. They will be at peace with you. Yes.
Thank you. That sounds very funny. You're able to put in the Yoruba. Mr. George, what happened is there's an organization called the Belt and the Road. The Belt and the Road is an organization by the G7 members. And what now happened was the Belt and the Road is also Chinese initiation to have a collaboration with Europe. So not too long ago, the Belt and the Road organization had some members existing. Italy left the Belt and the Road, and there are plans for some other European countries to leave. So China is not taking it just like a plaything. China is trying to mend that relationship because they are a major player in the Belt and the Road organization. So, Sir George, do you think China can harness a good relationship with Europeans, having in mind what is going on with Ukraine, Russia, that is their ally, and all these things?
Well, China is in a very deep trouble, whether we like it or not. The data has been released. They have stopped, talking about releasing some facts about their economy, unemployment, and a lot of things. And we see that as much as Olayinka Raji is having this great, great faith in China, don't be too surprised that the war in Ukraine, they have been waiting to see how the world will react towards it. And they are getting ready right now towards Taiwan. And that is as a result of the war between Russia and Ukraine. And besides, anyway, there's a new champion in town, a new global champion in town. And that global champion is actually India. So what you're seeing is there has been a lot of, squabble between China and India, and it's still going on. They've been fighting with each other over territorial integrity of the sea level and stuff like that. But the reason why you see Xi Jinping, going around to develop or reaccess and redevelop some interactions with some of the European countries is simply because their economy is in trouble, actually. And this is not something that North America is propagating. It's a known fact, and they know it too. And for some reason, at a point, they stopped releasing their unemployment data and a lot of things, and they don't talk about it anymore. So it's good for us to basically have faith in China that they will not go to war. But what you're seeing here is that economically, they're trying to reassess and reestablish some, global contacts and ensure that the robust economy that they had before continues. Because right now, it's deepening so much. And, what a lot of things that used to go to China, right now, they're going to India. Because India, for a decade, were able to re-educate their people in, cybersecurity and, IT technology and all those things. And you see, right now, you look at what's his name, that have a Tesla. He's been romancing China. Yes, he's been romancing China, but China is actually, playing a hardball, saying no, come to our country, build a factory, assemble your vehicles here and bring the job. India. Yes. India. So they've been negotiating with them, and they're playing a hardball. So you're seeing India emerging, and China is not happy with that at all because as close as they are, they share borders. And as a result of that, a lot of people are, shipping their jobs over to India instead of China right now. So they need to, really buckle up and do something.
And apart from shipping their jobs to India, they are also doing proxy arrangements where Indians control some companies, even if it is in Europe or in South America, in America. Yes, great one. Thank you very much. Opening that initial trilateral meeting that was attended by European Commissioner too. That's the lady Ursula von der. Macron made some submission that I saw that I think it's going to be a new dawn with all these nations. He said, yes, he said coordination and relationship with Beijing will usher in major decisive moves for Europeans. And he said, yes, it's fair rule for all to have a Europe-China trade. So let's see how all of those meetings will play out as time goes on.
Can you also see what is happening on the back end of France also? Okay. France is losing their grip on a lot of countries, especially in Africa. They had on chokehold for many years, you know, siphoning their resources and paying them peanuts. And then you see quite a number of those countries that they actually put into a chokehold of contract after you know, they're allowed independence. So right now what you're seeing, and these countries are, you know, saying no, thus far, no further, we're going to have to negotiate and go to another place. So you see that the two countries actually need each other, as a matter of fact. So, and that's diplomatically the reason why they're coming together. And then hopefully, you know, and one of the reasons why it is important also is because China is a major player when it comes to world diplomacy. Because you see what is happening regarding, you know, Ukraine and Russia. China has a veto power. And if they can actually bring China in their own necessity, as a matter of necessity, to push Russia to abandon this fight with Ukraine, maybe there will be a level of war peace. So that's why it's important.
Very good. Yeah, starting that meeting actually on Monday, that was the first, what you just said now, George, that was the first thing Emmanuel Macron said to Eugene X. He said he has to please closely coordinate with Russia on this invasion of Ukraine and accept the global trade rules that people are putting out to the business world. Let's welcome a diva to be with us. That's our one and only Bidi Nana. Bidi, you're welcome to Friday World Affairs.
Thank you, Massive Mark, Sir George, Sir Raji, and our viewers.
Hey, good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you for showing up with your nice, beautiful hair to make us look good tonight.
Yes. Nice. Okay, gentlemen, let's move on. Let's move on to some other new things going on. Our man is not here from Moscow, Russia, to give us update on the.
He's here.
He's here now. Okay. Yes. But before he joins us, welcome, Dr. Godwin Ibe. Dr. Godwin from Moscow, Russia. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you viewers for tuning in.
Thank you. Yes. So, gentlemen, let's come into Dr. Godwin is good here. It's good you're here. Let's come into a topic I want us to go deeper in. It has to do with plane crashes and casualties and plane running off, skidding off the wrong way. Yesterday, we had a situation where a Boeing flight went off the wrong way in Turkey, and that's Boeing aircraft. Also, while that was happening in Senegal, one also went off the runway. Now, let our focus be on this. We all know what's been happening with this Boeing airline. Boeing keeps having this situation, and my check on Boeing was I had some information there. Not a small plane, not a small airline business. In fact, the story is that Boeing is the major income revenue for America. Yes, Boeing as a flight is America's major exporter. That's what brings more dollar value into the American economy. So for Boeing to be having all of this problem is becoming something else. Boeing, like we all know, is a multinational corporation. They design and sell airplanes, rockets, satellites, and all these things. Now, funny enough, that airline you see is named after a man. A man founded that whole idea, this whole business idea. But Boeing is not doing too well lately. There has been numerous crashes, misfortune has been waiting on all these Boeing airline. We also remember in January when one of his plane, the entrance, the door opened mid-air. And in fact, what I heard is the Dana airline that had a crash in Nigeria last 2 weeks is also a Boeing. I don't know if that's true. Somebody said it's a Boeing flight. So gentlemen, let's put our focus on Boeing and air crashes, casualties, and all these things. Because if we don't talk about it, some other people might not talk about it. So I want you to say it as it is. Is it for Boeing to shut its plane business down, get themselves together, because some of their partners that supplies them things, there's a partner called Aerosystem. They supply them some parts and some of the things they use. Aerosystem has come out to say that some of the things Boeing uses has defects. So Aerosystem is a partner in Boeing's plane building. So gentlemen, what will you all say? Let's talk. Let's talk about this. Let me start with you, Raji. Raji, what do you think is happening to Boeing?
Yeah, I think like somebody was trying to analyze for us. When you put a financial man in charge of a corporation that requires massive engineering and security safety systems, the financial man looks at the bottom line and is more interested in profit. And that's what probably has been the problem with Boeing, because there have been so many cases of safety feature failures in their design. And they made a major re-engineering of their 737 group of planes. Now, this 737 group is what brings them most of the money, most of the income. However, whatever design things they put into it had made that group of the 737 MAX very, very susceptible to crashes, to safety failures. And we remember the one that happened with the Malaysian airline, the one that happened in which a friend of mine was also died when he was coming from Ethiopia, the Ethiopian airline, the 737, and so many other failures. You know, so and there have been cases of where whistleblowers in the system have suddenly been found dead or seen to have committed suicide. It means then that there are so many cover-ups in the system, and it is not good for safety. It's not good for safety. Their safety history in the last 10 years has been quite abysmal. However, they cannot be shut down because they are a very important part of the American financial system. In fact, the American corporate system. Shutting down Boeing for whatever reason would just mean a complete collapse of a major part of the American finance system.
Yes, thank you very much.
What has to be done?
Sorry.
Yes, let me come in. Sorry, you know what we'll do to make things look good, because we have viewers watching, listening. Let me put the question before you come in so that you don't. We have it put straight. Don't worry. I know everybody's anxious to make an input, but let's get it up well. So plane crash claims hundreds of lives, and most times it comes from different parts of the world. People die no matter where they come from, genders, race. People just die when there's a plane crash. But now, when we're talking about Boeing, it's not just Boeing anyway. It's also something that affects the aircraft business. But we're looking at this in-season Boeing's. This every time it's Boeing. So, George, my question to you is: do you think Boeing can rearrange their aircraft and get it right, or do we keep going with this thing and every time there's a crash? I mean, Senegal just happened yesterday, Turkey yesterday. George,
somebody described what Boeing has been going through in the past decade as peeling onions. it's been a lot of problems, because when you bring in a new leader in a company, they might reassess a lot of things and begin to put profit beyond security. And this is what you have been seeing with Boeing situation in the past one. It started in 2018, and then there is the 737 MAX planes to crash in 2018, and 2019 the missing boats that caused the door to fly off. So, and then all of us recently, like Raji just mentioned, what you will see is there are companies that cannot compromise safety, and that is what we're seeing with Boeing, because the situation there is a very life or death situation. When they compromise and put profit over security, or put profit, they want to make so much money, therefore they compromise the safety of the people, or what used to work for them, they want to change it, or they don't want to improve it simply because they don't want to put the cost on the planes or whatever in order to increase profit. That's what you are seeing. So I believe that they can revive it. And some of the people that work with them that actually came out and talked about this in the past, while it's ongoing and it's still happening, recently just ended up either being killed themselves or dying, or whatever their allegations are behind the whole entire thing. It's very dangerous. So we cannot play with these things. They need to go back to the drawing board and reassess what they have been doing wrong and change it immediately. Because we're talking about the world as at large, and there are planes all over, all over the sky, flying from one place to another. So we don't want to hear another incident like what has been happening in the past.
Thank you, George. BD, do you think Boeing should stop services for now and get it right before it begins to fly? I mean, George just said there are many of their aircraft flying in the air. As right about now we're talking, yes, you have a lot of these flights moving. But do you think they should just recall everything and shut down? So much noise coming from BD's end. BD, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, there's so much noise from your end. I hope it's all good.
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if you look at the history of this Boeing, you understand that over 10 years, their safety history has been on a zero level. Now, if we should be considering what they make rather than the safety of people, then we should be making a mistake. Now, for someone like me, I might not say they should be shut down, but there should be something like suspension, so that, because if you look at the company, they are having administration problem. And when I say administration problem, their technical departments they are not actually doing it right. Because they were once accused of not using the right parts on their aircraft. So that is a very serious case, and that should be looked into. So America should not be looking at, they are bringing in the much money. If they stop working, the money might not be coming. They should be looking at the security, the safety of people. I think they should be suspended, not shutting them down, but there should be a suspension so that they can do a reshufflement and get their house in order.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, BD. Do a reshufflement and get their acts together. Godwin, do you agree with that? Godwin, do you also think that countries and airports and the aviation industry could come together and say, listen, Boeing, go get your acts together. Let's stop your movement for now. Get yourself together, then you can bring in all your planes again. Do you think that could be done instead of having all? I mean, we want to wake up one day and hear one big crash somewhere in one part of the world. Godwin.
Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not possible.
It's not possible.
It's absolutely not possible. For many reasons. First of all, you talked about Boeing contributing to America's economy. Well, in a way, you're right. Not it doesn't contribute to most of the economy. Actually, it contributes more than Apple. It contributes 1% of GDP, which is significant. 1% of GDP is significant. Apple, for example, contributes just 0.5%. So it's twice of what Apple contributes to American economy. So therefore, it is a strategic investment for America, and definitely both the government, security agencies will not be too happy to reveal things that are damaging to both its reputation and its long-term viability. It's one of those companies that will call they are too big to fail. So what will eventually happen is a particular batch of production will be called back. While if there's a chronic, as we've seen, change of leadership, if there's a chronic repetition of this kind of flaws, then there'll be a change of leadership at the helm. But to say that some aviation authorities are going to come together to it doesn't work like that. In the market of demand and supply for aircraft, they are actually behind deadline at some point, and the two models we're talking about that have had the most problems are Boeing 737 MAX 9 and 787 Dreamliner. 737 is the more common one, but the MAX 9 is a bigger version, of course, trying to make more profit and to save costs, and has led them to, in order to try to meet deadline, to use some defective parts, as some of the whistleblowers have mentioned, because of both the cost of replacing them and the fact that they have to shift deadline. So lots of airline companies are waiting for their deliveries. It's not easy to get your money back refund and to go to someone else. It's not so easy because of business, the way business works. And then the political aspect of it, they'll be afraid of US sanctions, travel restrictions. And so and many of them also depend on, maybe if they are NATO countries, they also depend on supplying American military aircraft and parts. So they'll be very, very reluctant to go political with this. But based on a more quality assurance and quality assurance and quality control, they will recall a batch and try to reshuffle the leadership. But more importantly, is my concern is the hammering on diversity. We want diversity, right? But we don't want it to replace competence. When competence is shelved aside and all in the same of putting someone who has 20 boyfriends or something like this, then you begin to put the cart before the horse. So that's my only major concern. But I think America is a great country. They are able to resolve this if they do the right thing.
Thank you very much. Good one. Fast, direct to the question, and witty. Yes, gentlemen, thank you. That's it. Boeing needs to get its act together. You've said it all. We don't want to be seeing this all this mishap, plane crash, and all this happening. People going like chicken in the air. Gentlemen, let's come to something we'll go on with before we go to the break. And it's it sounds like a trivial thing, entertainment, but it's actually a big factor as at now. There is a program called Eurovision. Eurovision is a musical music contest that comes up every year here in Europe. So Eurovision covers most countries, all the way from Turkey to Israel, and all of them will gather in a particular place, and the various artists will sing, and they will pick the best out of them. So yesterday we saw something in the Eurovision going on in Sweden. Sweden is hosting it this time, Malmo, and when this Israeli artist came to stage, there was real protest. Her name is Edan Golan. She came on stage. The protest started. The pro-Palestinians said, no, she shouldn't be included in this competition. She shouldn't be here. It went wild, and they had to shut down the program. Now, why we're bringing this up is some of us are in Europe, and this is something we actually celebrate every year. We all get involved in. So I want to ask you guys. Let me start with George. George, do you think this whole pro-Palestinian thing, protesting, should come to entertainment? I mean, it shouldn't just be a musical event that should let slide and people enjoy? Why do we bring in politics into this?
Well, I mean, it's all intermingled. You know, people are expressing their emotion against the nation, and their protest is going all the way down to even even that. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to the individual, because she might even be against what is happening in Israel and with the Palestinians, but here she is losing her opportunity to shine, as an artist, being ordered to go back to her hotel in Golan. So I don't think it is fair. And what we're seeing around the world today is really, even here in Canada, in Europe, in America, many colleges are, shutting down, and then the students and people from the streets are getting inside these campuses and causing all kinds of issues, So to me, I would say that we need to be a little fair in our application of all these protests and stuff, because it could get out of hand and start affecting people that doesn't even need to be affected, like that what we're seeing here. This is just an individual who is just having a good time trying to entertain the world, and then being shut down by people's emotions and stuff like that. And by the way, when we talk about these universities, they need to go back to class, just face their education, because sometimes they can go so far out of whack where seriously, they need to really think about that, because what is happening is they're opening doors for people that are on the streets to go into these universities and begin to complain, and the whole situation is one-sided. I do believe that the war needs to end, but we're seeing what is happening with that Hamas Israeli war. So I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair at all.
Okay, so before we come to other guys to speak, let's just see little of what was happening. Two events in one. You just saw two things that happened the past week. The first one was the one yesterday at Sweden, and it turned out, I mean, that used to be a musical program, and it turned out to a protest. And the other one is supposed to be a business conference where we had that lady Kim Kanye West's ex-wife giving a speech, and somebody just stood up and started shouting, "Free Palestinian!" Da da da. So let's come to BD. BD, this is where we find ourselves now. Special occasions are now being jacked up and used to express their feelings. You think it's right, or they have to?
Somehow it might be right, but the pattern at which they are going about it is what I might condemn. You understand? Now, I'm speaking based from where I'm coming from. In Africa or in Nigeria, entertainment and football is the one thing that doesn't get influenced by any political or tribal issue. So, when I saw this, maybe I'm finding it a little bit hard to comprehend, because when there's war in Nigeria, when there's problem, we use entertainment, we use football to unite ourselves, to get out of that wave of hard political problems. But it's a different thing here now. Now, if they actually want to speak up, if they actually want to, the statement, "Free Palestinian," do you understand? They should have done it the right way. I don't think the way they're doing it. But what I want to understand about this group of people actually using this avenue to do this is not actually those people who gathered there. There are groups who have hijacked this gathering to use it to pass this message across. That's the only thing I understand when I watched that 2 days ago. Yes.
Okay. Group of people have jacked it up and are using it to send their own message. Do you agree with that, Raji? Are there people taking advantage of this whole event to express their feelings?
When situations happen, politics The world has become a global village, and any opportunity for a group of people to make their voices heard is taken. Unfortunately, some people go too far according to how they feel. I do not think that we should be bringing too much politics into entertainment, into sports, into things. But then it happens. It happens that maybe an entertainment program provides a very global view or a very global opportunity for people to make their voices heard across the world. So yes, but when it is taken too far, in which case, in any case, one can never be able to ascertain when it is too far. When it is too far, but
when it's too far,
everything things happen, and then
yes.
it takes a life of its own. Yes.
Thank you very much, Raji Godwin. So, yes, was Russia also in the Eurovision this year? Russia normally wins most times when they come.
You know, since 2014, when Australian drag queen Conchita Wurst won the competition, I figuratively sprinkled my television with holy water and have not returned since for watching Eurovision. Also, it was also more heartbreaking when the twin-age twins that were representing Russia in that event, they were virgins. They were touted as one of the people that could have won it, didn't win it. But I mean, in stark contrast, Conchita Wurst won it. So when I tried to imagine what was and what could have been, so I had to figuratively spray my television set, and I haven't returned back since then. But what I'll tell you is that it's not the first time that we've seen booing on Eurovision. As occurred at that, the Russians were booed then, but there wasn't the wide protest in the media, Western media, condemning it, especially by the Israeli-controlled ones. But now we see that, yes, they are condemning it in the Israeli-controlled media. Fantastic. But it's good to apply standards always. But what we can also see is power versus the people. Anywhere where you see power, you can see the power has a particular opinion on this conflict. Why the people, anywhere where you have mass number of people or you have millions of people, any platform, you can go to any platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's TikTok, with any platform where you allow the majority to speak, they turn out to be pro-Palestinian. Why is that so? I wonder why. So we cannot also hide from that glaring fact. And also in geopolitics, nobody cares about the what do you call it, the side effects or the stray effect. Because we take an example of Russia, for example, where broad sanctions were applied to all of Russian citizens, and people who, for example, who love to use Western services, for example, like Google Drive, something as simple as Google Drive, were forced to switch over to local alternative like Yandex, which in some areas works much better. But they wouldn't have had to make that migration if that broad sanctions were applied. And also we have chess, like FIDE chess tournaments, where people who are from Russia are competing under neutral flags, not under Russian flag. So there's competition in sports, and there shouldn't be, but there is. And it's a regrettable reality.
Thank you very much. There's competition in sports. There shouldn't be, but there is. Well, Israel's Aden Golan responded by saying she's focused on giving out the best performance, and nothing will stop her, she said. Take note that that the activist Greta Thunberg was also there, and she also was. Go ahead, George. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Part of the problem that I have with this situation, people are acting very emotionally, and they will begin to endanger innocent lives because they swarmed the hotel of this young lady, and then there had to be, security had to be brought in. So when people begin to act emotionally, they nullify the righteous judgment, that is supposed to be applied to situation. So that's my only concern. And one of the other things that is happening, a lot of people are out there, protesting. But when you specifically ask them questions directly, why are they there? Most of them don't even know. They don't have the facts together, so, and that's what you've seen largely in a lot of campuses and a lot of areas. They just come out, they're against Israel. Yes, indeed, there might be reasons, but nobody is talking about the hostages that are being held up until now. Nobody is talking about that, because when you want to go to the left, you have to balance it with the right in order to be, fair and just. No, I do understand the fact that this war needs to end for the purpose of the people, innocent souls. And this is part of that reason why I hate, this dictatorship type of government in some of the countries, where one individual can just hijack the government and say, this is what we're doing. It doesn't really matter. I dictate it. Nobody can, counter it. So, and that's where Bibi is right now, because Bibi is in trouble. And Bibi would rather have this particular situation, because she was fighting the Justice Department when, the security failed on this particular issue. Now he wants to prove that he is capable of safeguarding and saving Israel. So that's where we see. So it's a really, catch-22 type of situation in this whole entire thing.
Catch-22 type of situation. Guys, let's do this small break. We'll be back. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Yes, viewers, you're back to our program, Friday SSM World Affairs. Gentlemen, you're welcome. When the landmark issue was happening in Lagos and Nigeria, the federal government breaking down structure, I thought that was an African thing until last week. I found out that the Saudi Arabia government is even doing more harsher one. They are going more harsh with their citizens to claim a land for the future. So we're talking about Neom. Saudi forces are told to clear land for the eco city called Neom in a part of Saudi Arabia where the natives there are called the Huwatas. They are said to be locals in that area, but now Mohammed bin Salam says the soldiers should do anything they can to remove this tribe people and these people that have taken the land, that they want that land for their own futuristic city. So, gentlemen, let's look into this. I don't know if you guys have the story, but it's also going very strong in most media homes. So this is the land. This is an aerial view of the space, and the Saudi government wants to they want to create a project called Neom Eco Project. That project, they say, will see a lot of things. It's going to cost the government about 399 billion pounds for that project. The aim is, they said, is to diversify the kingdom's economy away from oil production. So Neom is the project. It's this is a graphic view of what we have. Now it's going to be bigger, twice bigger than the size of the Empire State in New York, and it's going to be also 3 times bigger than the Eiffel Tower in France, Paris, and also the Big Ben. In fact, Big Ben is looking a little like it. So the red mark you see is the size of the project, 200 meters on both stretch, and the length is that 500 meters. So they have to take this land, and they are taking it from natives. In fact, they killed one of the natives yesterday, all because they want to take their land. So, gentlemen, do you have the story? Godwin, what have you heard about Saudi Arabia Eco Project?
Well, I don't like to use the word impossible, but it seems like based on my maybe a layman knowledge of the project, I've read and watched videos a lot about it, but I still don't consider myself an expert on the topic. But it seems to me like a white elephant project, and I hope I'm wrong. But considering it as a attack by the government on its citizens, I think is a false misrepresentation, because it seems to be a tribal, ethnic problem or civil war problem. They are going against the Hawaii people, as they are called. Yes. A particular tribe that they occupy not just the Jordan, part of northwestern Syria, and it's mostly them who inhabit those villages that are obstructing the line path. And so that's why the government have given the license, reportedly, allegedly, to evict those villagers. So it's a thing of eviction based on some tribal connotations, and not the main Saudi Arabian indigents who are evicted from their land. I may be wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope the Neom project works out and turns out to be good for the Saudi Arabian people. We love them because they have a rich culture, and they're also part of BRICS. And we hope that their economy would stand strong with the project.
Yes, thank you very much. The Hawiti people, they inhabit that region. What you're seeing there in that clip. Now, the project will span this length. For those of you that probably know the UK, it will be the size of from Bristol to London, 170 kilometers length. Then if we're looking from America, from New York to Wellington, George, maybe you could know that distance. So, but George, when it comes to this kind of projects, why do innocent people suffer when the government is initiating something? I mean,
well, you see it all over the place. You see it even in the most developed countries. And it's not about the project itself, but how it's handled. If there is a human face to it, if there is compassion and way to deal with people and compensate them very well, it might go very well. There will be a lot of people that wouldn't like it, to leave their comfort. What we're seeing around today is we're going back to the 50s and down, where people are just rising up and want to take over things, and do it at their own with all impetus, without regards to human face or compassion or whatever the case might be. I'm hoping that this project, they will find a common level of understanding, so that the people that are negatively affected can actually be compensated very well while the project is going on, because I know nobody wants to leave their land, quite naturally. It's very change is inevitable, but sometimes it's very uncomfortable, and that's what we're seeing here. The project hopefully is going to cost about 1.3 trillion. Already, and they've made some progress, but there has been a whole lot of backlash, really. Because what they projected to do, they're not seeing a lot of people very interested in it, and that's why they're pushing hard to get it to the point where people can begin to invest and come into that to trust the project and put their money and their resources into it.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
Sorry, can I add something quickly to what Sir George said?
Okay.
It's not only the lack of people. Actually, the Saudi Arabia fund, the fund has a lot of money, but it's the logistics, the logistics, technical difficulties in achieving that project. It's a huge line made of glass. It's very technically fantastic. That's the number one. Number two, what do I say? By 2030, only a fraction is going to be complete. Out of that 170, only 2.4 kilometers will be complete by 2030. And investors want to see return on their investment. For hearing that only a fraction is going to be ready by 2030, and knowing how difficult logistically, scientifically, technologically it is to make the project, a lot of people have doubts. And a lot of cold feet on the project, but they have a lot of money. But technically difficult.
Technically difficult. Yes, go ahead, Raji.
Yes. If they are able to finish that project, it's going to be a different world altogether. If
they are able to, I want to compare this with so-called Lagos Calabar coastal road. When you look at the culture of the people of Saudi Arabia, they are people who live in free, unrestricted environment. There are people who live in there are people who live in free.
Oh no, he's not talking about. Okay,
he's coming back. Let him come back. I want to hear him. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Okay. But then this project is so restrictive that you are going to restrict more than 1 million people within a space of between 200 meters and 170 kilometers. It is completely against the culture and even the mindset of the people of Saudi Arabia. They are free people. They want to roam, but you are going to restrict them to that place. And I hope that project fails.
Billy, what do you have on that project? When we saw what they were doing to Lagos people, we thought it was just for that. Now we are seeing this again in Saudi.
I will speak, but please, I want to ask Raji a question. Why do you want that project to fail? Can you educate me a little?
Because it is restrictive, very, very restrictive of the way of life of the people.
Okay.
How do you want to restrict 1 million people within an enclosure, a glass enclosure for life, and they are not likely to move more than 100 meters from that place all their life? These are people who are used to freedom.
It's okay.
To freedom. They can live in their hamlets in the desert and be free.
They said the only permanent thing in life is change, so they should get used to it. Now, I say another thing I want to say is that that comparison, message Mike you made with this and the Lagos Calabar coastal highway, it's totally not it. Let me tell you, it's totally not it. It's two different things. Like from what Raji is saying now, and what now I want to tell about some government is that this thing they want to do, they want to develop the state, the country. And at the end, it will be the benefit of everybody, the citizens, the people, they will benefit. Now, it's the duty of the government to find a way to explain to people the need for them to do this, why they should do it. If they do this in a way it should be done, they wouldn't have killed the person they killed. Do you understand? There wouldn't be reasons for killing. Now, that goes for this Calabar-Lagos highway. Now, this our project is going to be a long-time project. If we finish this project in the next 30 years, then we'll try. Then if we finish it in the next 10 years, wow, we should be given an award. This is a long-time project. It's a future project. Now, what a government that is reasonable should do. Now, what I said is a two different things. They just killed one person in Saudi Arabia. As I speak with you now, about 3,000 Lagosians are out of job because of that landmark demolition. And, you know, we visited there 2 days ago. And unfortunately, you know how things happen. Some of the people, about 20 or 30 of them who lost their job there, were affected on this Obalende house destruction. Can you imagine? You lost your job, you lost your house. You can imagine what that will do to their psyche. Do you understand? Now, it is the government who actually feel, oh, I'm doing this thing for the good of people tomorrow. Now, what Nigerian government should have done is that there's no business that is going to be affected in towards Calabar area. They should have started this project from Calabar area. Do you understand? Now, it can't come, if it's not the kind of business that is there, and you give them only 7 days, and you demolish it. If Nigerian government or government in Saudi Arabia understand that I'm not doing this thing for my own good, I'm doing it for my people. So they don't need to suffer for me to give them a better life, for me to change their way of living.
Thank you very much.
You
Thank you,
educate them and make them understand, and this in a way that everyone will understand and benefit.
Thank you. Good one, Bidi. Good one. Well, I compared it. It's not in that comparison. Mine was the fact that they are, killing somebody now because you're trying to claim a land. Okay, gentlemen.
That's completely different.
Yes, let's.
Just one little thing. I want to add that Saudi Arabia enjoys public approval of their citizens. Their government is very popular in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East. In fact, in the West, even in the West. Yes. So they're not like this kind of taking things above. I understand Raji talked about their restrictive life and all. They are wanting to roam, but it has the approval of most of the people for this Neom project.
They are popular.
The people have no choice, actually.
Okay, guys. Another one. We've said a lot about business investors coming in. I mean, BD just talked about the landmark and all this situation. Now, listen to this. I know you all had it. Jobs is at risk as Microsoft shuts down its African Development Center in Lagos. And what I've got to know is that this shutting down in Africa is just Lagos. The Nairobi facility, Kenya Nairobi facility, is still on, and in fact, they've expanded. So why will jobs be shutting down? Microsoft is one very vital company. They're into software, they're into a lot of things. Now, having that innovation center, like they called it, they said it was bringing a lot into the Lagos economy too. Workers and everything were added up. Now it will be no more. Raji, this is what your state government is causing, and now people are leaving.
You see, with the Microsoft office, I think the Microsoft office in Lagos was more beneficial for Microsoft than for Nigeria itself. And I didn't see it as much of an investment, other than that it was the local Microsoft group was going to have more access to Microsoft softwares and things. Microsoft is a seriously selfish and self-centered organization. So if they want to live in Nigeria, they have all their reasons. How they can keep their Kenyan office and expand it still baffles me, because they do more business in Nigeria than they do in the rest of Africa, except Egypt and South Africa.
Sir George.
Can I say something?
Sir George.
Listen, what we're seeing here is, I mean, a company is a company. A company is not a country. A company is, will stay in business in an area if it is profitable. When you have an economy, a political environment that is unstable, you have insecurity, you have all these, situations that are happening in our country that doesn't make it to be very attractive, to open up a business and stay in business. They just opened up a couple of years ago. So maybe they're looking at the political stability in Kenya versus what is happening in our country, or the financial aspect of things, and then insecurity and all this. They have to make a quality decision whether it is profitable to continue with that investment. They're not selfish. They're actually very objective in their reasoning.
Selfish.
They cannot be selfish. You don't tell me to start hold tight. You cannot tell me to invest in a place where I'm going to be flushing money and I don't expect a return on ROI on my investment.
It's selfish consideration.
No, it's not a selfish consideration. The company is there to make money.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I mean, you call it selfish as a negative. You call it selfish as a negative. No, that's what the company is supposed to do.
Whatever you think about it. Now, the world is a global village. Microsoft can operate entirely from Seattle and not be bothered. So they can play the one office in Kenya and still be effective in Nigeria. It is a completely selfish business consideration.
Okay.
No emotions at all.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sorry, Billy.
The problem we have as Black people is living in denial. Do you understand? Everybody that goes into business to make profit. Microsoft is not. They are not selfish. I cannot agree that they are selfish. We should learn to tell ourselves the truth. This Microsoft center is not even up to 4 years. They just built it. And we celebrated when they built it in Nigeria. And they gave a lot of Nigerians jobs. They took a lot of people out of the streets and they gave them jobs. And now the environment is hard for them to do their business. The government, the tax, the policies is not affecting them. And they're going to where it is favorable for them to do business. And we sit here saying they are being selfish, rather than us to condemn what needs to be condemned. It's not them, it is we. It is our government, it's our policies that is driving them away.
Thank you.
And exactly the words they used. Godwin, that was the words they used. They said, even though we are waiting for an official information from their media team today, hopefully we're going to get it. But the initial words they use is Nigerian economy reality is affecting them. Nigerians' economy,
we are a poor nation,
is affecting them. So Godwin,
we are a poor nation.
We are not poor.
I want to say something.
Okay,
we are a poor nation. We mismanage the little funds we have.
Godwin, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to say that Microsoft is a company, and the company's aim is to make profit, and they can make some business decisions, which I understand. But where I have a concern is what BD has said, partly what BD has said in terms of having a friendly business climate for these multinational companies. Then the second area I have is regulation and understanding what is strategic investment. Now, why they took a couple of people from the street, that is just a meager fraction of the unemployed. Very meager fraction. And many of them, they are hunting for talents. And when they find those talents will move over to the US to work. They won't stay back. So they are just sourcing for talents to help themselves. And I understand that as a business decision. So for America, it's a strategic investment. For Nigeria, what is the strategic hold we have? What we could do is not only making business climate favorable, but we could also work on technology transfer or a competitor, a local indigenous alternative. Look at Russia, for example. Volkswagen said, we want to leave. Russia said, well, the door is just over there, but the factory remains here. Goodbye. Yes. And immediately was repurposed. Now we have new fantastic machines, Moskva 3, Moskva 6, fantastic machine which everyone is buying, and they cannot even produce as much as they to keep up with the demand. Because the factory is here. Russia says, well, the factory is here, we have the knowledge, we have the workers, goodbye. So that is how you deal. Yeah, of course. You have local alternative. So that when the people who you're giving rental space misbehave, or they do something that does not represent your interest, you say, well, that is the door. You just go right, you find the door, and then we wish you safe flight. That's how you operate. So I have a problem with our government not understanding strategic investment and supporting local alternatives, so that when they go, they will not be missed, and they will find the country. You'll find the country a place to be. So those are
do you see what Godwin just said? Dr. Godwin just said. Do you see what he had just said? You see, this is the mentality there. This is the mentality. Okay, in a business environment is symbiotic, and okay, maybe the environment was not profitable for them. But what are we going to do as a country with the infrastructure and everything that they left behind? What are we going to do with that? I can guarantee you absolutely zero, nothing. You're going to see self-interest.
No, which infrastructure did they leave behind?
Which infrastructure? Is it buildings?
Which infrastructure did they leave behind?
No.
The buildings did not belong to them.
Excuse me. What were they doing when they were in your country?
What were they doing?
Technology transfer.
Hold on. Let me ask you that is talking. What were they doing when they were in your country?
They were improving their own business. They were making sure that you use their products.
Technological advancement that they brought into your country when they are
which advancement?
Maybe you don't even know.
It's not as if they brought some boxes they gave to us.
Are they just sitting and just drinking?
They could have just done the same thing. They could have just done the same thing they were doing in Nigeria from Seattle.
Basically, lobbying.
Lobbying, yes.
They did, but we were not able to grab it. Because
to grab it, exactly.
To grab what?
No, grab technology transfer. Like, for example, senior engineers for them establishing local alternatives.
But because we don't have the ability to negotiate or to collaborate, because if we know what we are doing,
there is nothing to negotiate.
Imagine
talking like that. You're talking like you don't have in-depth knowledge of the subject. What we are talking about.
I have in-depth knowledge of the subject that I'm talking like this.
You're talking like that.
I'm an IT person.
No.
I am an IT person, and I know what Microsoft is doing.
Can I say something? The same thing happened in Russia when Volkswagen wanted to leave and say goodbye. Let the door hit you where the Lord
those are physical things, so those are physical things. Factories.
Hold tight. Whatever they were doing in Nigeria, a local person can actually, a local individual can actually take over whatever they were doing there, and then the job can still be happening in that particular place. To use it internationally. So you're just talking like I don't do that.
The world is a global village. Whatever they were doing in Nigeria, they could have done from Seattle.
On that level, no, we were unable to negotiate with them on that level. We could say if you're having 10 technicians, 5 will be Nigerians, but we didn't negotiate in such level. So when they go, even the ones the little they got, they promise them good life abroad, and they will go with them because our inability to negotiate very well and to regulate what we have negotiated for. We don't do that.
Yes, exactly. I want to add to what Didi has just said. In terms of negotiation, you negotiate with leverage. For example, when you go to, let's assume Microsoft was in China, for example. Yeah, and they'll be begging not to leave, begging you. That kind of begging, not to leave. Because when they leave like this, the engineers, which are already 50% China, we just go to a Chinese company, which are 50% Chinese, and we just keep all the servers. You're not exporting no computer. The information is here. We have the encryption keys. We just continue. You talk about copyright or patent, please. When you get to your country, talk about patent there. We are not interested. Yeah. ignore your patent and redo it and work. So, and what Big is talking about is negotiation with leverage. You have plans in place so that in case you are, you
thank
say,
you very much, guys. It has been wonderful. I've been listening, learning, and yes, you giving good insights also in this topic. But we have to go. On Monday, we'll be back with our Monday program. I want to thank you all for coming. We couldn't cover all we had, but I mean, we did more. We did a lot. We wanted Joy to give us update on the Trump and the stormy, whatever. And all the other
Russia has begun a new operation, Kharkiv.
Yes, we wanted you to. We were looking for you last time to hear what was happening at the border town of Ukraine and the drill, the nuclear drill. But anyway, let's come Monday, guys. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. It's been beautiful, wonderful. You were out there.
Have a nice weekend, man.
Yes. So, George, thank you. Till we come again next week. Everybody, have a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye.
And the world have a wonderful week.